How's it going, everybody? Sorry, got into a minor accident. Okay, leave it to him. Leave it to the board. I'm just gonna leave that there. I don't know whose fault that was. Sorry, just kind of contemplating. I'm like, I want to say it's the person's fault because I'm like, I was going, and the person turned, and I have a hard time navigating with this phone, and I reacted too slowly, but I was expecting the car to move, just move. It's a car, it's supposed to move, but the car was just sitting there, and so I tumbled off my bike, and I just let it go, and I kept moving, and I'm gonna be massaging my wound. Sorry, just let it happen, let it go. Say if that's really their fault, then may God reveal that to them. Hopefully it could be repentant to some other person. Okay, so idea is we're talking about Flame and Katy Perry. Now I talked to my pastor about this. I had to redo this. And I'm gonna just recap what I said. Now, I talked to my pastor about this issue of the Katy Perry versus Flame. I didn't really mention his name because I figured he don't listen to Christian hip hop like that. But yeah, I mentioned they had a lawsuit, and is that okay? So one of the things he mentioned, you have to abide by the law of the land, and also essentially you have to attempt to handle your problems. For me, it reminds me of the saying when Jesus said, when you have a problem, when you go to the altar, before you do that, handle your business with the person you have a problem with, and then go back and lay your gift at the altar. Before you try to submit yourself or bring your peace or present something to God, you handle your previous beefs, because it's like, why are you coming to God asking for things when you aren't even really, honoring God by clearing your mess, Or it's like, I don't know. To me, it's like you have baggage with you, and you claim God as Lord of your life, but He's not Lord over your baggage. So it's like, why is that a problem? Why is that a problem in trying to honor God? You have to clean your stuff out. Before, if you got a problem with somebody, clear that out before you present your offering to God. So, and it's not saying you have to wait till you're clean when you get to God. It's just simply, come as you are. Definitely come as you are. But know that when you come to God, there's, you come to Him without hidden motives. You come to Him honestly, openly, truthfully, without bias, without some sort of shame, without hindrances. And so, my hope between this issue was that soon was the only way for justice to be served. And again, it makes me wonder, because for me, I stopped listening to Christian hip hop and stuff like that. I've definitely slowed down. I just listen to the stuff I picked up years ago. And some stuff I listen to, but it's only because a friend of mine listens to him. He picks up that music. So I guess in a sense I do keep my ears slightly to the ground of Christian hip hop, but I don't do it a lot. Because when I hear stuff, I hear bitterness. I hear a lot of stuff that I'm like, is this Christian, or is this just like a group and they're just doing what everybody else does, Okay, so and I guess I had expressed sentiments because I was like, a person said, why do we have to act like the world? Why do people keep giving us this standard when we are, why do they expect us to act differently? And it's, to me, I'm like, well, we are different, But in this instance, You know, since we are supposed to be a beacon of love and such, not so much against non-believers, but toward our own, we are supposed to show off, you know, show off love toward each other. So when it comes down to suing, that's not a good look, you know. But towards non-believers, you know, we, as he says, we have to obey the law of the land. The law gives us the authority to act. So if somebody's committing a wrong, then the responsibility is on us to make it right. And if that right can't be done on our own, we utilize the system, you know. And that's a right. That's a legit right. If you have the money, and you guys have tried everything, and it made me go back. So I have to reiterate this point. No one's big enough for scrutiny, against scrutiny. People say, like, you know, religion is an idea, so it can't be challenged. I think people shouldn't assume that just because you're big, they can't be challenged. Just because you're big, like even if you're Jay-Z or something like that, just because you are these people does not mean you can't be challenged. You know, you can't be. You know, it means you cannot. Doesn't mean you can't be challenged. You know, and so I suggest that, like, I don't care who famous person this is. Like, they tried to have Marvin Gaye tried to sue was it Ed Sheridan, or no, it wasn't Ed Sheridan. It was could have been Ed Sheridan, but it was Robin Thicke. And they had this idea about, like, you know, oh man, this is a bad thing for music and copyright and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, but at the same time, like, it's like with any tragedy, something that's really authentic will survive, you know. If it's really authentic, it's gonna survive. And I still believe that. Like, if music really has some sort of validity, you know, if the music industry has some validity, it's gonna survive. It's gonna survive the soup-apocalypse or whatever. You know, and people just get upset because they act like he's damning music. And it's like, to me, it just, Dark Horse, if you really don't care about the message, it reminds me, it's like, if I listen to it, because I didn't, when I listened to it, I was like, oh, Katy Perry making music, blah, 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 blah. You know, I didn't, but then again, I didn't listen to too much of his songs like that. But especially the ones that just didn't seem like, you know, it didn't reach me. But when I listened to both of them, I'm like, I can see how they could say that. I can see that. You know, it seemed like to me, it seemed slowed down. It seemed like, apart from the tagline, even though it's kind of weird that they, like, said the same thing. Like, even though, yes, you could say, I think they're both Southern rappers, Juicy J and Flame. You know, so it's like, of course they could sit here and say, like, you know what it is, you know, like it's a common phrase. But and another thing that I forget his name, he was like he was a YouTuber, but he's also like an expert or something like that. He was saying that there's no, I don't know, I'm not gonna sit here and say nothing about it. But when I looked at it, and I was like, from a very general perspective, it wasn't like, oh, this stuff could be the same, but it's not really. It's like very different. It's like, no, like, if you, this guy made this mix. Made a mix of it, and to me the mix wasn't very complex. It was just interchanging the songs, and it was very good. But it was like the similarities were to a point where it was it's a good mix, but not because the DJ really did anything to it. It was just songs interchanged in a soothing, harmonious fashion. But I'm like, to me, you could do that, but I'm like, I feel like if the song's very similar, you could do that even easier. And to me, that's what I got from the song, is that those songs are similar. They're very similar. And again, this is why I lean into bias, because it's like, you know, with bias, you could just say, well, I like Katy Perry more, and people don't want to admit it, but everybody has a bias. I have a bias, you have a bias, everybody has a bias. So it's like for people to sit here and say, well, it don't sound like it at all, or it sounds like it, and yada, 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 yada. I'm like, the song is similar, you know, whether you're defending Katy Perry or not. And even if Katy Perry hadn't met this guy, maybe her producers have listened to something similar that Flames listens to, because it's hip hop. I'm sorry, you know, these producers, they're hip hop fans. They're not. It may not sound like hip hop, you know, or some variant, you know. But what I'm saying is that maybe they both had a common theme that they drew their inspiration from, and it just so happened that it sounds very similar. And yes, you can say if this stuff continues to happen, then creativity needs a huge rebound to the point where nothing sounds like the stuff before it, or I think this is just an attack toward common music, you know, because you might need to really dig deep. And of course, like, music is a full spectrum. So if you start criticizing and start suing people based off a part of music, which could be used anywhere, then it's like that's problematic, because it's like at some point somebody's going to duplicate your stuff. Even the Bible says that nothing is really what is it? It's not life is a vapor. It's like nothing new happens under the sun, and that's the point. You know, nothing new happens under the sun. So creative license of stuff, I think it's a good reason why they have an expiration date toward creative licenses, because at some point you're going to replicate it in some way, you know. And so people shouldn't be penalized for replicating something so soon, you know. I mean, replicating something for a good period of time. So if your stuff sound like Bach, that's probably because the rollover period is starting to, like, everybody has tried everything, and maybe you've tried something you've never heard of Bach, but it sounds like Bach, because music is a spectrum. You're going to hit something at some point.